And welcome to my existence spread out on somebody's garage. I can see how you must have a ton of work back here, but totally. And I am back, and I am feeling so very much better at the moment. I was not completely at the end of my rope, but my batteries were down. I had been wet and dirty for days, covered in mud. So the chance to get picked up, shower, cleaned up, laundry, charge everything has me feeling much better. And Dory and her husband went way over the top. In addition to letting me stay in their home, they cooked dinner, cooked breakfast. I had ice cream and cheesecake for dessert. They downright spoiled me. And the timing worked out. She actually picked me up, and because of how the mileage worked out, I asked if she could take me to Peebles to grab my resupply box. So I just turned a 98-mile food carry into a 110-mile food carry or something like that. But it means I have more flexibility because I wasn't going to be able to get to that post office by 4:30. So unfortunately, my pack is back on the heavy side, but it's a reasonable heavy. I went a little overboard on the previous resupply. This was one of the gen boxes, so it was just dump everything and go. So I am well fed, clean. I was able to permethrin my clothing layers, which I feel good about considering ticks have started to become more numerous. And even better, I got to talk a whole bunch, and like I said, Dory and her husband were super nice. And they've got Amish neighbors, and there was all sorts of interesting things to find out. She's on the board of the Buckeye Trail, which I've been highly interested in because this is a really cool trail, just this corner I've seen. And it does not seem to get the attention it really deserves versus some other trails. Apparently this section traditionally had a reputation for being very rough as far as down trees and everything, but they have very obviously worked their butt off, because other than the 10 or so down trees, and there were a couple that were a pain in this last section, it has been pretty damn good on my scale. Granted, I am the guy that did the Condor Trail, so I'm maybe a little more understanding than people who have just done the AT, but still. Plus you got shelters and trail angels and all the things, and it's kind of rare that a trail like this does a big loop covering so much of the state. So every time I say goodbye to a trail angel out here, and I'm like, and you may see me twice more. North Country Trail and then probably the Buckeye at some point. And especially with Hocking Hills and all the waterfalls, this is now on my list to go through this section sometime when Jen is with me, because she would have just been over the moon with all the pretty waterfalls, all the turtles, all the little salamanders. So in addition to the food resupply, I now have enough coffee of various sorts to last me probably till Jen gets here. And I actually messed up gear-wise. I use these compression short boxer brief underwear. Helps with chafing and some other things. And I've used Under Armour for the longest time, but they have an issue where they break in between the legs. That's the part that wears out because they're this lighter ventilated cloth. And so I've actually had to replace them fairly often. And they're stupid expensive. They're like $20, $30 a pair. Well, I found these others from Walmart, but they last for months instead of, weeks to a month. So I accidentally had more sent to me thinking, oh, that's going to be worn out by now, because you have to, ask for things to be sent out 2 weeks in advance. And I basically had way too many functional pairs. So today, from what Dory was telling me, I have 4 miles of trail, then a bunch of road. I may end up through Serpent Mound or Peebles by the end of the day, depending how it goes. The weather seems to be improving a bit. Yesterday, she had picked me up maybe 2 minutes before the hard rain started. So at least my hope is I did a good job trading a rough, rainy, miserable afternoon for recovery time, and now I should be good to go for a while here. The state forests have both been really pretty, good trail greenery, and slower going due to mud and other things. So those have been kind of taking their toll, and then I hit the road and it's like, oh, easy miles. I do have a couple more of the state forests up ahead, but at least at the moment, whenever I'm hitting the road, I'm just kind of appreciating the faster pace, easier going, easier access to water. A lot of my water stops have actually been just asking people to fill up my bottles for a while now, ever since that weird water warning in Wayne Forest. Now, unfortunately, while I have hopefully kind of mitigated the tick risk a little bit, at least for a few weeks till the permethrin treatment wears off, there isn't a lot I can do about the stinging nettles. I mean, I am a guy that hikes in shorts because of moisture chafing issues. And even if I had somebody mail me or bring me pants, I kind of figure about the time I get them would be the time when I'll never use them again because I'm through this section and not bushwhacking as much. Other than that detour I did day before yesterday, there doesn't seem like there's any active alerts as far as issues on the trail. And there's not any known down trees or rough sections, but they have so many storms, stuff just comes down. I mean, it's one of the reasons I'm always just hats off and grateful to every trail organization, because they work and they work and they work, and it's not like you just build a trail and then it's good. It feels like some places, like, out in the desert in Arizona or New Mexico, you might have a rock fall over, but you're not going to have a bunch of trees fall over and block the trail. Versus out here, you have a couple of big storms. All of a sudden you need like full-on chainsaw crews. So I always just get a warm fuzzy from the heart that goes into a lot of these smaller trails. You see something like the AT that super well maintained, so much structure, etc., etc. And then that's cool also, but ones like this or the Florida Trail where it's just people waging war to basically keep these quasi-obscure trails open. That's just cool to me. And this trail is basically right in line with what I'm looking for as far as a through hike. Not super busy, but it is established. There's a far out. There's all these other things. And that's kind of my happy spot versus the AZT was too busy for me the other year. I did the CDT and the AT and the entire time. Yes, the CDT has crowds these days. I'm like, okay, once I do this, then I can be on the quieter trails. So we have a tater seal of approval. We don't have a masochist seal of approval sticker. I've joked about it a couple of times, but Jen looks at me in disapproval when I say, well, but instead of cute animals, it would show coffee, nachos, boobs. My clothes were so nice and dry. Spider webs. Gotta say, I have not missed the spider webs. That was lying here on the ground, and I just had to do a double take and verify I still had mine. So somebody's been back here. Oh well, my feet weren't that dry. I'm having a generally happy day, but I am dragging. Some combination of the heavier pack and the fact I didn't sleep real well last night. I was super comfortable, but probably only got 4 or 5 hours max of sleep. Keep out except for Buckeye, presumably. So that was a cool spot, but honestly, the coolest view of the mound came from something I found on Google search. I'm still not really perking up, but I was able to drink some water, took a break, aired my feet out. Now it's just a question of, am I gonna make it to Peebles? Will that diner be open? I'm not too worried about camping today. Yes, yes. Big scary hiker. And welcome to Peebles, as expected, too late for the box, so I'm happy with how things worked out. There is, however, supposed to be a Subway up here, so I'm gonna turn that into a dinner and water stop and then have another 3 or 4 miles until where I think I can camp. Not Subway, but this will work. Okay, no Subway, got a sandwich at a nice pizza shop, filled up my water, drank a bunch. So now it is about 4 miles out of town until there is some, it looks like General Electric owned land that is forest, where I think I can camp. Looks like I got an hour and a half and change, so should work out. Fox? Okay, I went and stuck my head into the preserve. Didn't look promising as far as a stealth spot, but it's getting to be that time. I think I'm back here. I'm basically in a small clearing beside the trail. I don't know how legal I am, and I'm gonna have to wear earplugs tonight because of the industrial noise, but it'll work. I did do better on the later part of the day, just dragging most of the morning. That's just how it goes. Home sweet home.